Listen, I don't consider myself to be a conspiracy theorist, but I am 99% convinced that Capcom's Pragmata is secretly a Mega Man reboot/revival/reimagining. And yeah, I know that denying that you're paranoid is probably a surefire sign of paranoia, but just hear me out. Pragmata was originally shown off way back in June 2020 at the PlayStation 5 Reveal Showcase. While lacking any gameplay information, the trailers had a sci-fi vibe that looked like a cross between the quiet desolation of Death Stranding and the focus on protecting a child with a secret from The Last of Us. Back then it was slated for a 2022 release, which would later slip to 2023 before falling off the radar altogether, leading to some speculation that the game might have been quietly cancelled. This would have been similar to Capcom's own Deep Down, a dark fantasy Souls-like with a sci-fi twist that was revealed alongside the PlayStation 4, and that I personally played back at Tokyo Game Show in 2013. Look, that's my shoulder, right there. Also, look at this part where the floor crumbles and I flinch in sheer terror. I'd blame the jet lag, but honestly, I'm just very easily startled. Cut to last week, and Pragmata made its surprise return to Sony's State of Play, this time with some actual gameplay snippets to go along with a cheeky update of a 2026 release year. And while it was nice to see that the game still exists, it wasn't until I rewatched the trailer that I went full Pepe Sylvia with my theory that Pragmata was somehow, someway, in some form, a secret Mega Man game.
Pepe's mail's getting sent back to me. Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia. I looked in the mail. Well, this whole box is Pepe Sylvia!
Okay, let's dig into this trailer. So the first half of it is presented as this kind of PSA or an ad for the Delphi Corporation. Our Pantheon heads out there will know that the ancient Greeks considered Delphi to be the center of the known world with its patron deity Apollo, the god of healing, truth, music, and most important to this crackpot theory, the god of light. And who canonically created Mega Man? Dr. Thomas Light. I'm going to be honest, I did not know his first name was Thomas until about 15 minutes ago.
What the?
Mega Man, you must go after him. We don't know who he is.
At the 22-second mark, we see various Luna filament technologies show up on screen. The 3 generations of advancements directly resemble the shapes of Energy, E-Tanks, and 1-Up pickups from the original Mega Man games. After this, we're introduced to our 2 main characters. We seemingly play as a cosmonaut who comes across a young girl/robot/cyborg who calls herself DI-03367, but by the end of the trailer is given the name Diana. Her appearance resembles that of Roll, another creation of Dr. Light, who acts as a kind of younger sister to Mega Man. She's dressed in a chunky, oversized coat that's a very familiar shade of blue for Capcom, and at one point she hacks an enemy robot by holding out her right arm, and her sleeve hardens into the shape that directly resembles Mega Man's Mega Buster. Also, Pragmata seems to at least partly take place on the moon, which is exactly where Mega Man Volnet was stranded at the end of Legends 2, leading to one of those unresolved cliffhangers that's caused me spiritual damage every single day for the past 25 years. Do you see where I'm going with this? Any of these observations on their own could be chalked up as coincidence, but the fact that they all exist within a single 2.5-minute long trailer has me convinced that Capcom is using Pragmata as a stealth way of modernizing Mega Man. Now, Capcom has a long history of revisiting franchises that may have once seemed dormant. Maximo was their 3D revival of Ghosts and Goblins, while Bionic Commando 2009 brought the classic NES game into a decidedly grittier modern era. Sometimes this is done via collections, as we've seen with the recent fighting game compilations that shine a spotlight on gems like Power Stone. Other times they use remasters, like last year's Dead Rising, and occasionally this leads to brand new games like we're seeing now with Onimusha Way of the Sword. Capcom has also been known to make games that feel like they're in conversation with classic franchises without directly being a part of them. I'm thinking of how 2023's Exoprimal has nods to Dino Crisis and its main character Regina without actually being the Dino Crisis game that we want. Same goes for last year's excellent and underrated Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, with its emphasis on Japanese myth and folklore echoing shades of Okami to the point where it got cosmetic Okami DLC. Side note, y'all should play Kunitsugami because it is an absolute banger. Casey and I have chatted a bunch on streams about how it feels like now is the time for Capcom to do something new with Mega Man. They've already released collections featuring the core games and X, Zero, and Battle Network branches of the franchise, with the Legends games being the lone biggies that haven't been revisited.
Sorry, Mega Man, but it looks like you might be stuck up there for a little while more.
Another side note, you should watch the episode of the archive that Java and I put together last year on why Mega Man Legends deserves another chance, because Mega Man Legends rules, and Java did an incredible job on that one. Given just how much the company has loved delving back into its past in recent years, and given how important Mega Man was in shaping Capcom throughout the 8 and 16-bit generations, it just feels right. Also, last year's animated anthology series Secret Level featured a Mega Man-centric episode, and given how nearly every single episode revolves around properties that are currently active, RIP Concord, it would make sense that plans are in motion. Of course, this wouldn't be the first time they tried. Mega Man 9, 10, and 11 did a solid job of replicating his 2D adventures, but by the time 11 was released, a wealth of indies directly inspired in some way by Mega Man had already lapped the newer installments. And then there was Maverick Hunter, a cancelled reboot from back in 2010 that tried to turn Mega Man into a gritty FPS, which just obviously did not work. But in the time since then, Capcom has learned how to ostensibly reboot a franchise with fresh new ideas while keeping its essence intact, specifically with the critical and commercial success of a Resident Evil 7. Is my theory that Pragmata is secretly a Mega Man game starting to border on paranoia? Sure, but is there also a strange amount of evidence throughout the trailer pointing to the fact that I might actually be onto something? You tell me. Now, am I so confident in my theory that I'd be willing to stake my own life on it, like the time Shinji Mikami proclaimed that he would cut his own head off if Resident Evil 4 ever left the GameCube, only for the game to eventually make its way to about 15 different platforms, including most likely whatever device you're watching this video on? Well, let's just wait for the next trailer to drop before doing anything rash.